That lends a lot of credibility. If you come in and can be upfront and honest and say, actually in this application, I think this product over here that I don't represent would be better for you. That all of a sudden now you become a trusted advisor rather than a salesman.
And I often say that we have all the requirements of space, right? Because it has to go underground and send us data from miles and miles away, and it has to work. Like, failure is not an option.
We'll put on, a standard mule shoe. Ours is slightly different just for that, but it's, everybody's got one.
The top drive and the drawworks really don't care whether the electrons coming at it are from a joystick or a PLC.
The panel, what you see here on the left, which is now controlled by one of my students, is showing you actually the control of our brakes.
As of now, geothermal is a pretty small market.
If you have tortuosity, the casing will be up against the side on part of the well. There won't be any cement there. The cement will have crescent around it.
So managed pressure drilling, it's been defined as a process to precisely control the pressure profile in the wellbore.
The key is being transparent with our clients in this case. So tell them what happened. If we had a failure, tell them exactly what happened. Whether it's our fault, whether it's whatever the issue was, we need to be transparent.
But I think it's very important for everyone in the industry to know what's out there and kind of what's happening downhole as well.
I've probably worked on over 40 different performance limiters in my career. If I miss any of those and the computer is raising weight on bit and I miss any of those, I have a train wreck. The computer's going in the ocean.
Here's your new colors, here's your new thing. We don't do that at all.
Here's the tattoo you need to get.
Yeah, here's the tattoo. Sorry about the last one. We used to fake that all the time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, David Gibson. This is the V-Door Locksmith Show, where we are unlocking the secrets to success in the oil and gas industry. One interview, one presentation, and one technical screw-up at a time. Let's see what the technical screw-up is for the day. Don't know yet, but we'll find out very shortly. Guys, let me know where you're watching from. We're always happy to be able to share whoever it is out there watching onto the screen. Love being able to interact with you guys. The whole reason why we do this live and not as a podcast is because we want to interact with y'all out there that are watching. I have to be able to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all the support of everybody that watches this show. It really, truly does mean a lot to me. It's what keeps me going on doing this journey, and we're going to continue pushing the envelope, making the show better and better every single time. And I have to say, there was a post out there not too long ago that talked about people did some things or whatnot, and they had a team of however many and whatnot. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but I, by myself, put on one of the largest oil and gas events ever online. One person, and that was it. So I'm going to maintain the title of having hosted the best online oil and gas event. That's all I'm going to say about that. So thank you guys so much for being here. We'll start looking at all the different people we've got watching in today. JP Warren's out in Fredericksburg today. You're down the street. Come see me, sir. Seriously. You must be with clients, showing them a good time, drinking wine and stuff. RT saying, all the best to Melanie. Yes, Melanie Woods is going to be on the show today, so everybody be sure to stay tuned to that. Kevin Levine and the guys at Fossil Fuel Fridays. Where's Matt? Where's Matt at? Is he going to tune in as well? Glad to have you guys here. Eric, so pleased to follow both of you from Eric, thanks so much for being involved. He is like one of the steadfast, rock steady fans of the show. He's always tuning in, always watching. Really, really, really do appreciate it. Thanks so much. Ms. Patel says hello from India, obviously. Thank you for being here. Scott Vanoy says hello from Houston. We've got Whitney tuning in from Oklahoma. She's been on the show before as well. She gave her little pitch. I think that was back in late January. So if you guys want to go check that one out, it's the 1 minute pitch yourself. We've got Duncan tuning in from Houston. Rami from Algeria. Sunil, stay tuned. We're going to be doing some stuff. This guy right here is my design graphics artist. He's absolutely amazing. Don't steal him away, but if you need help, get in touch with him. Warren Logan from North Dakota. At least I think is that North Dakota? I'm guessing. All right. here to make sure Abu Dhabi doesn't miss out on the awesomeness. That's right. Thanks for being here. Love the guys out there in the Middle East and UAE. Actually, Abu Dhabi is where I started my career. The very first day, oil and gas, whatever, was with Schlumberger at the, what is it, like orientation week or whatever, was actually there in Abu Dhabi. So then we've got Kevin. Matt and I are at the ISOT golf tournament. Well, tell Matt we said hi. He's been on the show. And then Capo Jesus tuned in from Katy, Texas. Speaking of which, for that, let me tell you guys something. For not only for myself, but the guest of the day. And I need to do something about where the camera's mounted, because like if I just bump my table just a little bit, it shakes. I need to get that figured out. So for myself and for the guest of today, we're going to be a part of a virtual industry panel event for members in transition. Pivot or Patience, what's next for oil and gas professionals? Pre-hiring event, April 6th, 9 a.m. to noon. Ton Blasingame, Melanie Woods, Nathan Meehan, David Gibson, and Susan House will all be a part of it. How awesome is that? So go to the link. You can see it right here at the bottom. Let me see if I can get my finger in there just barely. Right there. sbgcs.org events/6001. 6001. All right. Go check that out. Be a part of it. Looking to be able to get hired. It's for companies and for job seekers alike. We're going to be putting you, the job seeker, in a virtual room with hungry hiring managers. So look forward to landing the dream job of your choice or landing the dream candidate of your choice. So look forward to more stuff coming out about that here in the near future. Other details, things we need to be able to share and talk about. April 1st, Luis Gonzalez will be doing the first Vidor Locksmith solamente en español. I am, talk about nervous, insanely nervous for that one. Looking over at my other monitor here, and it's so cool to be able to see that everything comes in with the closed captioning. Really happy to be able to see that. I don't know if we have any hard of hearing or people that need to keep their computer on mute, but hey, there you go. Really like to be able to see that. All right, let's do a couple more intros here. We've got Saad watching from Pakistan. Thank you for being here. Yes, North Dakota. Okay, cruising the Bakken today. There we go. I think your RS event was truly one of the best virtual ones I've seen so far. Aaron, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. Awesome. All right. Todd Burker from Austin, Texas. Guess what? This guy just confirmed he's coming on the show. What was that? What day did we agree upon? April 23rd, I think is what it is. But he's coming on the show. We're going to talk about like reservoir engineering, how to be able to A&D, so not, was it divestitures? Acquisition and divestitures, whatever. And a bunch of other, like the money side of the business, essentially. SEC filings, whatever else. For valuation stuff. A lot of stuff I don't know anything about. So we're just going to ask him a bunch of questions and learn something. So there's nothing wrong with admitting you don't know something. So a lot of stuff in the business I still don't know. I don't know who to actually buy oil from. Like if I wanted to buy 10 barrels of oil, I don't know where I would go buy it from. So there you go. Garima tuning in from India. I have to say this. Congratulations to Garima. She is landing her dream interview upcoming here very soon. So congratulations to you. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing all the hard work and set another new high threshold goal. Still looking forward to the show. Thank you for being here. And then Juan, excelente. Será muy interesante. Thank you, sir. Man, that all Spanish show is going to give me chills the night before. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep. All right, everybody. So last thing we need to be able to talk about here. Please like, share. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to do something special. I promise you it will be worth it. So if you like this show, go over to the YouTube link and just hit subscribe. I'm like we're just a little over 100 away from the 1,000 mark is what we need. So please give us some love there. So last thing before we turn it over to A Minute with Keith, go over to the website, check out Keith Stelter's wireline directory, his resume, and a quick link over to his LinkedIn. This is not the image that's on there because I changed it, but it's there. So go check it out. There's a lot of really cool stuff. If you are a wireline company, you sell products, services, or whatever in the wireline business, and you want to be on the directory, get in touch with Keith or get in touch with me, and then I'll put you in touch with Keith because he's the one managing the database, and then we'll get you on there. So if you're looking for a new wireline company or you're looking to see who all's out there, let's do it. We also, if you are an international wireline company, we can start adding some of those in there as well. So be sure to check that out. And so this is, where did I put it? See, I added new stuff, so everything's not in its normal spot. This is your Minute with Keith.
Thanks for having me on again, David. Really great to be here. This week, as we all know, was International Women's Day. Loved seeing all the great posts on LinkedIn. Shared my own little story this week about, Brooks, Alberta was a great place to start in the industry. Being around a lot of great women there. I shared a story about who the fastest perforator was in shallow gas, under 2 minutes. Their perforating runs. Really great lady named Jen Goulding out there. But this Minute with Keith, I've loved doing this with you. I've gotten a lot of great feedback, and trying to get a job, trying to land my next opportunity. You're not just hiring me. You're hiring my family, which is my team, and my best teammate. Best asset, really, the better part of me, which any company should really know, is this teammate right here. My wife, Erin, who is generally the brains of the operation, Baylor graduate, Texas native, born and raised here in Cleburne, Texas. We're here with the kids in spring break, and I just thought I'd finally bring her on and introduce her, show this lovely face of who actually decided to marry me for whatever reason.
Tricked.
I tricked you?
Just kidding.
Well, maybe, I guess so. So here's the one, and she just wanted to say,
this guy, that one right there.
It's in your best interest. And thank you, David, once again for having me, and all the help, making me feel like I mattered out there, like all the other job seekers. The best thing you can do for anybody out there is reach out to them and make them feel like they still matter, like they still can contribute. And once again, thank you, David.
Thanks, David. Good to see you.
And that was your 1 Minute with Keith and his wife, Erin. I mean, who would have thought? I didn't know that was coming. Surprise. So yeah, you can see the little thing. I made that just a second ago. Hire Keith. Wait, it's going this way. I can't line up with it. Hold on. Pooh. This is harder than you think. Going too fast. There we go. All right. Let's do this. Are you ready? We are filming season 2 of How It's Done. That is going absolutely well. We're still looking for about 3 or 4 more companies. I need to redo the count, but we are still looking for a couple of companies. If you like the How It's Done videos, go check those out on YouTube. Give them a thumbs up or whatever you do over there to be able to show your appreciation of them. But if you're a company out there and you want to be a part of that part of season 2, get in touch with me. We'll get you lined up and get you on there. It's been a really, really, really fun project. My mom will come out and video everything. She's a 30-year professional videographer, so she knows what she's doing. And it makes for some really great content that you can post and repost and do a bunch of other fun stuff with. So we're gonna just watch the intro to that, and then we'll be back with our guest of the day. All right, we are back with you guys. Check it out. I did it. It worked. I learned something. I can now do these cool things like this. So, Melanie, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am super excited to have you on. We should have done this a long time ago, and we will do this again with a full lead up, a full week lead up in the future. But thank you for being here. Can you give the audience a quick introduction to who you are?
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm actually really excited, David. So thank you for having me. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Melanie Woods. I am an HR person, not the most popular people at the moment, I know, but I promise I'm an HR person with a heart. I have been in the oil and gas industry in my history. About 10 years ago, I decided to go out on my own and start my own firm, and we do fractional HR work and recruiting. And where people, I think, on LinkedIn and such know me best is even before the year that shall not be named, I had a passion with my team for job seekers and trying to help them and give them as many resources for free as we possibly could. And it's kind of we've taken off like crazy. So it's my pleasure to be here and try and talk about the crazy things that are happening in our industry, not only for companies that are trying to hire, but for job seekers trying to get through this market.
So I know that you're doing a new project here recently. So I want to highlight that. What is this new project that you've got go? Or is it a new project or is this a continuation of a project?
So I always have about 50 projects going on. And
all right, I admit to doing that as well.
And David, you and I found out that we are actually very similar. We're very data driven. And so, I am trying as much as I can to get data out to job seekers to get you ahead, right? And to make it so you land faster. And I don't like giving advice if it's not something that I don't know from my history, background experience, or something I've tested. So I always have about, surveys and studies and taking people through. So the latest one, which we're having meetings on it next week with the participants that are interested, is to try and look at LinkedIn visibility and creating these job search teams based on the LinkedIn visibility. And they're going to have to put in about an hour a day with all that we have planned and see how it helps with their job search. So it's only 2 weeks long. This one, we're doing a shorter thing. So it's not going to be something that we're going to see everybody get a job, right? But what we're hoping to see is we're going to increase their network. We're going to increase their visibility and help them get contacted more. We're going to do that through a variety of things where we're going to utilize specialty hashtags. And one of the biggest things is we're breaking them into teams of 20. And we're going to break them based on the demographics that we have that we're collecting on them. And every time they do a post, which we're going to give them parameters on what they have to post and stuff, they're going to tag the other people in their group. And that group has to react to the tags that they did to try and get through all of these LinkedIn algorithms and pull them up to the top on visibility.
Excellent.
It should be interesting.
So have you guys done this in a smaller scale before?
So we planned to just do it with 20 this time, but we had so many people asking to be part of it. We said, okay, well, this gives us the opportunity to expand it bigger. I think right now there's several hundred people signed up. So I know, right? So we're going to meet with them next week because lots of people will sign up, but when we tell them what'll be required, there might be some that want to pull out. Like they have to be an active job seeker. They have to be willing to put on that open to work banner. They have to be willing to do these activities every single day for 2 weeks. Now you can do anything for 2 weeks, right? It's not impossible, but they have to be committed for it to work and then log it all. We've set up Google Sheets to log in what they've done so then we can track and see the results.
Wow. I think following, the only thing that's difficult to do to follow for 2 weeks is probably my diet. But I think logging into LinkedIn is a little bit easier, and that'll be hopefully very beneficial. So what are you hoping to be able to learn from this experiment at the end of the day? So
there are so many people on the market, right? And they're struggling getting seen. We already know that the way that LinkedIn inherently works is that the bigger your network is, the more opportunities you get to see, right? We're not talking about the job posting opportunities. It's you get to see everybody in your network of the jobs that they are posting. So we want them to have a bigger network and be able to see that. But then on the other side, we want more people to see them and raise their visibility. So we do that 2 ways. One, the more people they connect with, the more that they can actually come up in the searches. So for me, I have LinkedIn Recruiter, which is the highest version of LinkedIn, right? So I can see everybody on LinkedIn. But even me having paying all that money for LinkedIn Recruiter, when I get to somebody who's beyond that third level and not in a group with me, it has a little thing that says profile locked. And I get so many unlocks every month based on my LinkedIn Recruiter license. And so we want you to be unlocked to everybody, right? Because they only have a limited amount. So making your network bigger helps. But then the other thing is raising that visibility of them actually, people who are hiring, seeing your job posts. What we're hearing consistently from recruiters, HR, and companies is they're overwhelmed with candidates, right? I put a posting out for a role and I get a couple hundred people, in hours. And it's because there's so many great people in the market. And unfortunately, some people just apply for everything, right? And it makes a bunch of noise in the system. And so by making these people more visible a different way, it helps for recruiters and HR to say, hey, I know that person is this, let me look in. And it gets rid of that recruiter fatigue. So we're trying to see how far we can raise their visibility by doing this and fighting those LinkedIn algorithms.
So we've got a great question that comes in here. It says, to which section of the job seeker is this experiment meant for? The experienced or the freshers?
Well, that's a great question. And originally we meant it for only the experienced, but the advantage now of having so many people wanting to participate in this experiment is we're going to section them into different groups. We're going to do it by industry. We're going to do it by freshers versus those that are more experienced. And we're even going to look at doing it some by locations, because if everybody's looking for a job in, New York City, then we're going to want to maybe put those people together because their networks are going to intermingle better. I can't say that word, but it'll be better and it'll work nicer, and we can track and see. The question I haven't, or the parameter I haven't decided on yet, is exactly how I'm going to do the hashtags. So I think, my team, oh my gosh, we had summer interns that we just set off on those hashtags, researching every one. I mean, we have thousands of them logged. And so I know which ones are all for job seekers and which ones are all for HR and which ones are industry. And so part of what we're talking about too as a team is, do we want to take two groups of experienced professionals in the oil and gas industry in Midland and give this one this set of hashtags and this one this set of hashtags, and see how the differences come into play? I'm excited.
Excellent. I think it's great. I think everybody should use hashtag Vidor Locksmith. Just putting it out there that I think if you're trying to get a job, that would be the ultimate one to use. So,
and it's easy for those of you that don't know, that want to follow David's hashtag. Just go out to your main LinkedIn page, and there's that search bar that's always on the left-hand side. Type in hashtag Vidor Locksmith and don't hit enter, select it from the list. And then it's going to come up on your page and it's going to have a follow button. And all you got to do is click that follow button, and then you'll never miss any of David's posts or when he goes live and stuff like that.
Or you could connect with me on LinkedIn, and that would help you. So you could do this. Just hit that right there. There you go. All right. Here's the other one. And then this one. Oh, I like them both. Look good. I like that one because it's got the LinkedIn thing at the bottom.
Yeah.
So you have it. David Gibson Reports, right? That's how you can connect with me as well. All right. So let me see here. Sorry. I thought there was another question that came up. Oh, there. She said Vidor Locksmith. Okay. So once this is all done, so like you'll do the experiment, you're going to collect all of the data. Mm-hmm. Then afterwards, is there the possibility of just like having like do you want to come back on the show and we could do a debrief about it, or are you going to like keep all the data internally, or like what would be some of the things afterwards? Okay. Like just say like, all right, we figured this out. Here's the best stuff you can do. Everybody team up together and everybody like each other's posts and comment on each other's posts and connect with each other. And then if you find a job, tell another person.
Right. So what we always do is we put everything out on YouTube, right? We have a YouTube channel, CGL Recruiting.
That's right.
And the reason that we went back and forth of what's the best way to share information and data, and yes, I'm absolutely happy to do that, David, and come back and we can go through everything. But when we put it out on our YouTube channel, it's there forever, right? And so other job seekers who are still working but may lose their job in 2 months can still go out there and look and see the data. So it's free. There's over 200 and some odd videos out there now. I mean, you need anything on your job search. We have, you know, the resume format for 2021 that we tested through the applicant tracking systems to make sure that was good. We did the cover letters. We have all the data. We did an HR survey of HR people. We did a job seeker survey, and there's videos out there covering all the results of that to help, you know, job seekers. And there's something else that it's a little early to talk about it, but me and somebody else that you know, David, are coordinating, working together on a project which we will announce soon, which will also help to get all of this information and data out there. You were on a meeting about it, but I don't know if I want to say quite yet.
Does her last name start with an R and end in eco?
It may. It may. She and I met for coffee the other day, and we have a plan of something else that we are working on. And I know somebody gets a credit in there. We already talked about it, but we'll be announcing that at a future date. So I am not the person that holds the data. I'm very happy to share anything out that we have. That's the whole reason we're doing this. I mean, this is not what our company does, right? Our company does fractional HR work and does recruiting. All the work that we do on the job seekers is not meant as a business model, not for us.
So with all of this said, what are some of the things that job seekers right now should know? What would be like your top 3 things that if you could just snap your fingers and it would educate the entire job seeking audience, and then you wouldn't have to worry about re-educating everybody on those 3 things, what would they be?
3 things. You're killing me.
Okay, 1 or 2,
No,
1.5.
But let me see if I can
3.14.
Yes, there's a pi infinite number. Okay, so I think that definitely, you know, it's not, networking is important. Networking is crazy, crazy important. And if you're just sitting behind your computer, applying for jobs and not doing the networking, you're doing this with one hand tied behind your back. And I know it's challenging. I know right now it's not the best of networking times. Man, Keith, who, you know, we just saw, I can't believe somebody hasn't hired that guy yet. Keith is shown an incredible set of competencies in his job search, and he's shown them publicly. It's amazing to me that somebody has not, you know, nabbed him yet. Hopefully.
This guy.
Yeah, somebody go hire Keith. You want to see his competencies, go look at his LinkedIn posts, and you will see his amazing set of competencies that he could put, you know, for use for you and your company. Okay.
I mean, talk about being able to go like way outside of your comfort zone, going from being a, you know, really an operational person to now being like a LinkedIn influencer, a marketing specialist. Like, that's one of those things that, like, I can say for one, LinkedIn changes every couple of weeks.
Yes.
But yet he's been able to stay on top of it for like almost the past year, I think, is when I first saw him putting stuff on. And now it's only gaining steam. Like his repetition of being able to put stuff out there and learn from it.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me shows what hiring managers are going to want in employees going forward in the future, is people to be able to adapt to change and be able to keep figuring things out, getting outside of their comfort zone. Because when things do happen, you have to put on multiple hats, and you got to be able to like kind of, just take everything on fire and get, you know, the whole baptism by fire, like just be able to start taking on a whole bunch of things and then figure them out and then be able to produce. Keith has done it. So Keith is still watching down there in the green screen. I see him kind of smiling a little bit. You've done really well, and both of us are surprised that nobody's hired you. So hire Keith. Hashtag hire Keith.
Yeah, there's competencies that people have, and they're usually a hunter or a gatherer, even if they're not sales business development, but they usually have either that hunter or that gatherer type of competency. And Keith has shown that he has both. And that's something that you just don't get very often. So yeah, he's got the relationship side, and he's got that willing to put himself out there, go out there, and you can represent your company. Hire Keith. Okay, So one is the networking side, right? I mean, you definitely have to do that. Okay, and then two is you can't network with everybody who has the jobs that you want. And that's where you have to be found, right? And how do you get found nowadays? It's LinkedIn. It's absolutely the behemoth in the market, not only in the US, it's globally, it's across industries. You know, there are two competitors to LinkedIn. One's in Germany and one's in China. They're both very small. The one in Germany is the only reason they even exist is because the data protection is so strong in Germany. And so it's a more lockdown system. And China has something that they've come out with. Still nothing at all the size of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is in those two locations.
Yeah, one interesting note is having been to China and been on the other side of the Great Firewall. LinkedIn is one of the very few Western social media channels that is allowed in China. So if you're trying to do business there.
Did you see though this week they put a pause on new signups on LinkedIn in China?
Of course, I would say that and then not be up to date on stuff. I mean, granted, I went to China like 3 or 4 years ago. So
no, it like happened. I think it was like yesterday or the day before, and they just said pause. They're not like closing it down or anything. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens of all that, right? I don't know. So anyway, so you have to be able to be
number 2
on LinkedIn. Yeah. You have to be able to found, and because of that, more data is more on LinkedIn. Because when you're getting found, you're not getting found most times by a person, you're getting found by the system. So you need to load LinkedIn up with as much detail and data about you as you possibly can. There's no limit to the size of, people that you have to think, oh, I have to keep it to 2 pages. You don't need to. If you can fill up every character limit in a section, do it. Because it all makes a difference. If you have LinkedIn Premium and can take LinkedIn learning classes, get all of that added, to your profile automatically, it becomes search parameters. I'm helping a gentleman that I was talking with yesterday, and he already has his bachelor's and he's got an MBA, and he's going back for a master's in accountancy to go for a CPA. And I'm like, well, good for you. We're putting that on your LinkedIn. We're putting that you're going for the master's accounting in pursuit of the CPA. Why? Because then he automatically comes up in any searches where the keyword is CPA, even though he doesn't have it. And that's not lying. That's being very straightforward of saying, here's my plan. But the point of getting that data out there is then it's a person making the decision whether or not to go forward, as opposed to a system. The system says you have CPA, you don't. This person says they don't have their CPA, but they're working towards it, and they do have an MBA. I'm still willing to talk to this person. And that's what we want to have.
Very great point. Wow. Never thought of it that way.
I mean, you don't want to lie, right? But you want to make sure you're showing every bit of you. So if you're doing something like that, make sure it's there. And then I guess my third thing would be, as
you can hit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The show's about you today. So you take it away. I mean, I could just go off the screen and just leave you here. And I'll go get a drink of water and come back later, or we'll just check in on you.
I'm going to give you 2 more then, because on LinkedIn, because these are 2 that are huge issues. One is, please turn on, if you are an active job seeker, which means you do not have a job and you are in between jobs, please turn on that open to work hashtag. And you need to turn it on with the green banner. LinkedIn is very misleading on this. When you turn it on, it has 2 options. The first one says open only to recruiters, and the second one says open to everybody. And you don't get the green banner unless you show open to everybody. Now, the one at the top that is open to recruiters, if you read the fine print, it says only open to those who have LinkedIn recruiting, which is not the same as all recruiters, right? It's a very, very expensive system, and lots of people don't have it. They use premium to search, or they just post other ways. So don't limit yourself. And the other thing is, your job search is at the top of your head every single day, right? You're obsessed about it when you don't have a job. Well, even your best friend is not obsessed over your job search. But if you have that green banner on, every time you do a comment, every time you do a post, anything where your profile picture comes up, you're reminding your entire network that you need a job. And I do believe in the inherent goodness of people. And I do believe, like, if David knows of a job and he says, oh, I forgot this person, and hey, I just talked with this other one, he's going to help you connect the dots. So, okay, that. And then my last one is one of the biggest mistakes I see. I'm passionate about this, David, you know, right? Crazy.
Let it out, girl. Come on.
Oh my goodness. One of the biggest ones that I still see is people lose their job and then they end date their job on LinkedIn. And so they don't have a current role, which it sounds like it's the right thing to do, except the way that LinkedIn is programmed. So the way that the LinkedIn searches happen, when we go into LinkedIn and pull up a person or pull up a candidates against a job, most times job title is one of the primary things that we put in there. Like if I'm looking for a drilling manager, I'm going to put in drilling manager. And because people change careers and stuff, I'm going to say drilling manager, and I'm going to click the button that says, I want people that are currently in a drilling manager role. And so everybody who's a drilling manager who lost their job and ended their current falls out of the search. And that's the people who, you know, you want to be in the search. So there is a way, you know, it's a bad programming thing on LinkedIn. They need to have it show current or last job. I've tried and tried. I can't get any traction with LinkedIn to change it. But there's a way you can trick the system, and that is you create a job, which is your job search. And you put in the job titles like I'm, you know, searching for a drilling manager, you know, drilling foreman, whatever else it is. And then it even gives you room to put other information about you. And then when the search happens, you still come up in the search.
So should we create a, I don't want to say fictitious company, but maybe a company where we just tell people, hey, if you're in oil and gas and you don't currently have a job, you can say that you work here and you get the little logo, you get the little thing, right?
You don't even have to. It's already out there. A lot of people have been smart now and done it. And you can put currently seeking opportunities, and you're going to see like a little eye come up in the logo. So people have been smart enough to already do that. And I'm grateful, because I don't like it when anybody falls out of the search. It drives me insane.
We don't want you guys falling through the cracks. All right, so we've got a couple of questions that have come in, guys. Guys, gals, anybody out there watching, please. One, I did put into the comments here the link to CGL Recruiting's YouTube channel, so please go check that out after the show, or in a new window, not right now. And then, what was I going to say? I forgot. Anyways, we got other questions coming in. So here we go. Thomas Cannon says, how do you get a thank you for applying acknowledgement via LinkedIn Apply Now submissions? Why doesn't LinkedIn send a confirmation of applied to jobs?
So there are some job posting systems that the system automatically verifies that you've applied. LinkedIn does not. However, the person who set up the job posting has different ways to do that. It's not as easy as you think on some of it. Some of them, it's easier when the position is closed. When they reject you, they just click a button. But LinkedIn does not have as easy of a one, unless you're asking candidates to do things like take one of those assessments. Like if you're hiring for a role that you want somebody really good at Excel, when the candidates apply, you can have the system, there's an option in there to send out a message saying, please go out and take this LinkedIn assessment. And then that's part of your candidacy. There is too now on LinkedIn, when you apply for a position, there is a way for us to go in and say, okay, we would like you to answer these 1, 2, 3 questions via video and give us the answers that way. I am a huge advocate against doing that kind of things for companies in HR. It drives me insane that the process for job seekers has gotten so one-sided. You as a job seeker should have the ability to interface with a live person once you've made it past those searching systems. And the behaviors by companies of, I'm just going to one-way interview you and I'll decide, and you don't get to interview me to see if it's a good fit for you. and you don't get to change and adjust, I think we are, as HR, are missing out on competencies. Because when I'm having a conversation with you, David, if I see, you looking upset or confused, then I change what I am saying, right? I may explain more, or I may say, are you following me, or something like that. And it's a conversation. And that shows competencies on my side if I'm able to be sensitive to you as the other person I'm having the conversation with. Why would we want to lose that? Why would we want to hire people that are just maybe good at recording and terrible, in that interface? I don't get it. I'm totally against doing one-sided. It should be a partnership between the employee and the company.
So on that topic, then what are some of the things that either you see the HR world that's doing that they should correct along with this, or what would be your advice to hiring managers, other recruiters on better ways for them to get the proper candidate? Because obviously, because I've done some hiring in the past, and it's not an easy task. Like, it's not always just as straightforward as like, oh, you tick all the boxes, great, come on in. It's like you're gonna get, especially in this current environment, you're going to get a ton of resumes. You're going to get people that are really, really excited about it. You're going to get people that are lukewarm. You're going to get people that are good candidates. You're going to get people that are bad candidates. You're going to cover all of it. What are some of the ways for recruiters and hiring managers to be able to do things that help filter that out while still being able to, make sure that they don't lose anybody in the midst of putting out a job post or something?
For me, I would even, especially in our oil and gas industry, I would back up. And I think that the process really breaks down when you lay everybody off in the manner that a lot of it is occurring. And that's when somebody comes in and, here's your paperwork, and it's a 5-minute meeting and you're gone. And I'd like to talk to you about David Weekly Homes. And there was a housing bubble that occurred, in the not too recent past. And what they did is when they laid people off, they sat down with them and had a much longer conversation of saying, I wish we were in a different space, right? We've been trying to keep you, here's the economy, here's everything that's going, but we're not. But we still value you as an employee, even though we're being forced into making this decision, right? We just can't afford to do. And then they changed the conversation at that point to say, we want you back. When things improve, when we're able to hire you back, we would like you to consider rejoining us. And here's how we're going to support you between now and then. We're going to have this, emails that we'd love for you to stay on. So as we do have positions open, you can consider joining us back first before it goes out to everybody else. We're going to, get you links to outplacement. We're going to do all these things to support you. And so even though they couldn't necessarily afford to keep them all on staff from a payroll, they did such a brilliant job of supporting their employees that when it came back time to recruit, the people were, yes, I'm glad to come home. So to me, for HR, that's change, and not HR, right? HR takes a lot of flack as an HR person. We don't create all this, right? I mean, it's the company as a whole. But that's one. If you want great employees, change the way that you treat them in bad times, and then you can have them during the good times. And then
powerful statement.
It doesn't seem like it's that hard. Who is it? Fry's here in Houston, right? Well, I think everywhere. They just closed down their doors. Fry's is a big electronics shop. For those of you that don't know, it was like a Radio Shack on steroids. If anybody knows who Radio Shack is anymore. Anyway, so I'm showing my age. But they just overnight closed their doors. Their employees come into work and the doors are locked and they don't have a job. They knew that was coming. Would it have killed them to take 2 weeks beforehand to a population of workers that are already at risk, right? They're not paying these huge salaries. Would it have killed them to say, okay, we're going to have to close down. It looks like we're 2 weeks out. Start, your job search. Here's the information for TWC. A little bit of compassion would have helped that entire workforce land better on their feet. It just drives me insane. Okay, so that's the beginning. But now going forward, David, when you said about me, I'm a talker, and so I apologize. You can cut me off anytime you need to.
Hey, the longest we've ever gone was like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something
Holy
like that.
cow.
We're only 45 minutes in, so keep on rolling.
Okay, so on the other side, I would love if Microsoft has such a huge presence, right? Why can they not do what we did with the resume template? And instead of, they have all of these resume templates that are out there that are ridiculous in the formatting. I mean, they have, unless you are a graphic designer, which if you're a graphic designer, you should be creating your own fancy looking resume, right? But they have all these stupid resumes that have these colors and all these bad fields in it that you should not be putting. How hard would it be for Microsoft to come out with a standard resume that loads into all these systems like what we tested? They have far more people than I do. They could test this to the dogs come home and be, the gold standard for resumes. So all the job seekers don't stress, and then it's easier for HR and companies to find people. A lot of times, the system doesn't load right. And so they're looking for you, but they can't find you in their system of 100,000 applicants in there. And you think you put everything in, but it didn't load right. That's like a crazy easy thing on formatting, right? I mean, there's still the data of the resume that's critical. Let's focus on that, the value added data, not the stupid format. It just drives me crazy. I have like 8 soapboxes in my office that I stand on for different things, depending on what I'm upset about at that moment. But Microsoft, challenge, go out, do it. Somebody please. And then on the HR side, they could focus on all of the other things. I do believe technology is leading the boat right now or leading the caravan of saying, oh, here's this new technology, HR, put this in place to help you hire people better. And I don't like all of it. I want us to get back to looking at the candidate, not just the technology. The technology helps the process. It shouldn't lead the process where, people are not even, they're going through 4 interviews virtually where they're recording them and they're never talking to a person. That's just unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. Why would you, not invest in that person? Why wouldn't I get it. I want applicant tracking systems. We need applicant tracking systems in the early parts of the process or we'll never find you. But why can't you, when you get to the actual shortlist interview, you give that person some time? That's what's got to change.
Wow. I would say for myself, having been on camera almost my entire life, being in front of the camera doing stuff, that somebody says, okay, here are your 4 questions you have to record and then be able to answer, and I'd probably look up and they'd be like, oh yeah, your time was done 30 seconds ago, but we're automatically going to send this over. It's like leaving a bad voicemail or something.
Right?
Like, I got to start all over.
Right?
Like, beep. Oh, I didn't get my phone number all in there. That would just be absolutely terrible. I can't believe that there's companies doing that. Shame on you, companies. Shame on you. All right. I've got more questions, but it's not about me. It's about the audience. Charles asks, where do you find a computer readable resume? Great question, Charles.
So Charles, we do have one. It's out on our YouTube page. There's a video out there on the 2021 preferred resume format. And we do want you to watch the video because I don't think it's ever a good idea to change and adjust your resume if you don't understand why. And so we do explain on the different things as to why we do it. Now, we took it and tested it through a variety of applicant tracking systems. I went out and I created all these Google Gmail accounts and then was applying on using the different versions on Apple, on Microsoft, on Exxon, on all these different companies, trying to see which one would go in best. And so we have one that's we think is good, is very good. So that is out there and you can get that template. It's free, no worries. If you can't find it out there, connect with me on LinkedIn and send a request and I will definitely make sure that we get it to you. It's not hidden, right? And then
100% should connect with you on LinkedIn.
I'm an open networker. I believe that as a job seeker or as a business professional, the bigger your network on LinkedIn, because of the way LinkedIn works, the bigger is the better by far. You can always block somebody who's an offender. I mean, you and I both have blocked people, David, who just will not, I'm thank you, I'm not interested in Bitcoin. And then they send you 80 other emails and eventually you get to my block limit. And I'm like, sorry. And you go to the block.
I'll say this, I accept them all except for the ones showing cleavage and asking about Forex and Bitcoin. It's like, okay, this is obvious here.
Yeah. And my other big thing is I don't accept companies, right? Because technically in LinkedIn, you're not supposed to have an individual profile for a company. You should have a company page. So if they're a company, I'm like, you're just going to market the bejeebers out of me. I'm not into it.
All right, so I'm going to put this in the comment section here. There's the link to Melanie's profile, so y'all can click it and connect with her. Be sure to do that. All right, we've got another question here. Tom asks, why ATS systems so dependent on the tense of the word used?
So it's because it's a computer, right? It's a search filter. So if you type in oil and they're looking for oil field, it's not going to get it. Now, tense is not usually as big of a thing because when we are doing a search for you, we're not usually picking verbs, right? We're not picking, successful versus successfully. If I typed in either one of those words in the search parameters, I'm going to get up resumes in a million different industries and a million different jobs. So when we are doing those keyword search parameters, most times it is something that's very specific, which you can find on the job description. So don't worry so much about the tense, but you do need to put things multiple ways. I'll give you an example. CFO, when you do the job search on LinkedIn Recruiter up at job titles, when you try to type in CFO, it keeps trying to default to Chief Financial Officer. And so if you don't have Chief Financial Officer written out somewhere on your resume, you're going to fall out of that search. So anytime you have something with an acronym, I always recommend you do the acronym and somewhere you spell it out so you come up both ways.
Very interesting. That's good to know. See, all of the inside secrets.
We have a video, and I think actually it's time for a redo on it because LinkedIn's changed some of the search filters, but we do have a video out there where I take you behind the scenes on LinkedIn Recruiter, and you can see every single search parameter, how we use it, and where it pulls from on your profile.
Let me see here. I was going to pull something up here. We had another question come in. So this is a great question, and I should also add in here, once you figure out how you get the resume format, if you need to figure out what to put in there, Amanda Rico is an amazing resource. Be sure to reach out to her, Rico Editorial Services. She is the resume doctor. Like legitimately, that's 100% true statement. Okay, resumes are supposed to be 2 pages max, right? And I would put that all in quotations, right? Like that has been the historical thing. How do you suggest someone with 30 plus years experience condenses their CV, which is actually different? I learned this, CV and resume are 2 different things. Go back and watch the video that I did with Amanda Rico last summer. Especially since company format demands tick boxes that take up to 65% of the page.
Okay.
Take it away, Melanie.
So, does your resume have to be 2 pages? It does not have to be 2 pages. Can you go to that 3rd page? You can. And here's what I will tell you. In my 25 years as an HR person, I have never not hired somebody because of the length of their resume. But I will tell you, I know that there's people that I have not seen that I would have loved to interview because they didn't have data on their resume and they didn't come up in the search. So you have this really hard balance. Now, please don't take my comments as saying go to a 12-page resume, right? But if you have to go to a 3rd page, it's not the end of the world. It's just not. And if you do have to go to a 3 pages, you need to make sure that you're keeping in mind that recruiter fatigue is going to set in, and they're probably not going to make it all the way through a person to the 3rd page. The system will, but the person may not. So I do recommend sometimes if you do have a really long career, you have 2 resumes, one that's built more for the system and one that's built more for the person. Now, if you don't have a choice and you only get to do one, do the one for the system, right? Because you got to get through that gate first before anybody's going to look at you. And then the other one, that's the one you hand to people. That's the one that you email to people. That's not easily going in a system. Somebody is looking at it. You've already got eyes on that resume. Now, should you take years off? If you have 30 plus years, you can, but it depends on what's in those years. If you worked 25 years with one company and then 5 years before it, you had a really, really strong company that's got good name recognition, you may want to include it because 1, you're getting the name recognition of that company, and 2, you're showing that you are not just that you've worked in more than one company, like maybe you've done private and public or private equity and family owned. So be cautious when you take off time on your resume. Think about, am I losing something that would get me through the search or would be something important? I'd rather have you go to 3 pages than lose something that's going to stop you from getting seen.
In 8th grade, I worked at a concession stand at Russell Park Ball Fields in Plano, Texas, and it's going on my resume now.
No.
I can serve chili, hot dogs, and soft drinks faster than anybody else out there. I made a whopping $6 an hour. Top that, you guys. Okay. So one of the things I would like to be able to mention about that is that there are some small things that I would, correct me if I'm wrong here, Melanie, but if you do research about the company and who the hiring managers are and potentially who the people are, if they have a social media account that you can access that's public, don't try making fake accounts to get into their privately held stuff and then hitting them up there. Let's say it's, just like my LinkedIn account, it is public, right? You can, anything I put out there is fair game for people to do research on me. I know that there's plenty of other places you can do research on me and go for it, whatever, but the best stuff as far as business-wise you're going to find here. So last year, not last year, year before, oh my gosh, it's almost been 2 years since we started the show. I interviewed Terry Frith, who is the president and CEO of Gordon Technologies, one of the largest MWD service companies in the US. And he clearly said, do not send me a resume more than 2 pages, right? If you're doing your research on applying for a job at Gordon Technologies, I would highly recommend watching that interview to be able to understand who the president and CEO that you might be working for. So if there's content out there about that organization, go seek that out. Go watch, go listen, see the stuff that they put online. That can help you out tremendously because there might be an Easter egg bit of information that says, we love hiring people out of XYZ University. We love hiring people that have done this, or we want to see these specific things on the resume. So I completely agree with everything you said, Melanie, as far as like the general, but then if you can find something where somebody's like steadfast, it has to be under 1 page, it better be just like this, then build it to exactly what their specifications are and then send it off, because the more laser-like focused and the more you can be a sniper in your job searching efforts, the better chance you have at success overall. But you still need to be able to have maybe some general things. And I know Dr. Rico would agree with this very much so, is that if you need 10 different resumes, then you need 10 different resumes for the 10 different things that you're trying to be able to accomplish or jobs that you want to be able to get into. That resume needs to be tailored every time that you submit it. Don't just, what she likes to call spray and pray. Don't just be like submit. That's not going to be, you can come back at the end of the day and be like, well, I applied to 100 jobs today. Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you really? You sent 100 emails maybe, or you sent somebody 100 notifications, but did you really put in the effort of submitting the best possible you to that organization? So
David, there's a great example that goes to exactly what you just said, and that is when when people are hiring for like controllers or comptrollers or CPAs, if you read the job description and they say Big Four experience required, and you've pulled that off your resume and you don't take the time to go back and add in a line about that Big Four, you might as well not apply. right? If it's required and it's on there, what's the sense of doing it? You do need to be focused on the jobs that you are applying for. It will make a difference.
All right, another good question that comes up from Charles. Charles is getting all the questions in today, so I don't know who else is still watching out there, but Charles is the one winning today. Would you recommend a cover letter with each job application? And then I've got a follow-up to this one.
So there are some companies that tell you, and some big ones on their site when you apply, that they do not want a cover letter. So if they actually state that, then no. But other than that, yes, I do like a cover letter. And the reason I like it, your resume is not a place where you can always put things that are easily applied to the job description, unless you're going to spend, completely change everything. Your cover letter is easy to make some of those changes and better align with the job description, even more than you can do on your resume. But if you do it, you want it as one document. So what I mean is have your resume scan and have your cover letter as part of the same document. And the reason you do that is because it goes in different places in the applicant tracking systems, and you want all of that data to load in. So then it's all included on the search parameters. And, David, can I say one thing too on the question that we had previously? Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. You know me. When we're talking about, all these resumes and the 3 pages and what do I do? What we have found when we went through to test the different resumes, more and more applicant tracking systems have made alliances with LinkedIn. And so you now have the opportunity with a huge subset of the applicant tracking systems to actually attach your LinkedIn profile and upload your data from your LinkedIn profile. If you hit one of those systems that allows you to do that, absolutely, positively do that. Because then you have somebody behind the scenes has already gone to the trouble of mapping this field goes here in this applicant tracking system. So you have a much better chance of all of your information getting in there correctly. And LinkedIn has so much more data, right? If you've really fleshed out your LinkedIn profile, all of that great information and data, like you may have taken 15 LinkedIn learning classes on Lean Six Sigma, and you don't have them all listed on your resume, but guess what? They're all on your profile and they'll all go into that system. So every time you get that opportunity, please take it. And then you can adjust, then you can put your pretty resume up instead of the long version if you want.
There you go. So my follow-up question to this is, so that's at the beginning of it. What about the follow-up and sending the thank you letter after you've gotten the interview? Is that still something to be able to do, or do you send edible arrangements or TIFF treats?
Never
I'll take TIFF treats.
Never, I bet you they're good with the little cookies and ice cream. Never send gifts. Never send gifts. And let me say that in the US. Okay, there are different countries have different parameters. If you, there's a really good book. It's called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. And if you are somebody that's applying or doing business in different countries, it kind of gives you all of the norms. And in different countries, sometimes gifts are acceptable, or a picture on the resume is required, or your cast is required to be placed on there. So it's a good book if you're doing internationally. But in the US, don't ever do gifts. Your HR team is usually really sensitive about that, and they don't want it to be seen as any kind of favoritism.
Which is really important as far as like your resume when you're coming in. If you're outside of the US, specifically, I know Middle East and India, if you're sending your resume into the US from there, there are some, I guess, norms there that I would say are not good things to be able to do. So you don't want to say that you're single, your date of birth, your religion,
your picture,
all the equal opportunity things that people don't want to have put into their mind, like you put them on display, then that's like, I wouldn't want to be in that position and be the HR person. It's like, okay, we got rid of this one because they told us all this stuff, because we don't want to be going against this, but it puts people in a position that they don't want to be in. So I say that for sure. Be sure Absolutely. That you're tailoring that resume based off of the culture or the standards of that area. And then even more so if you can find out on that specific company. So with that, sorry, Go back.
No,
You were
and
saying
that's all
about the
in the
thank you
U.S.
letter.
It's Title VII, right? Anything that is protected by Title VII, any of the things attached to Title VII, you want to stay away from on your resume. But should you do a thank you? You absolutely should. And for every person that you talked with, and I even recommend you do it for the person who set your interview. If you talked with an HR coordinator, the admin of the hiring manager, every single one of those, you should send a thank you. And please, do not send the exact same thank you to every one of them, because invariably what happens is one person says, oh, well, that was really nice. This candidate sent me a thank you. And they forward it to the rest of the team. And then everybody else says, yeah, I got the exact same thing. So take the time and tailor it. It doesn't have to be huge, right? You don't want this ginormous thank you letter. It's not going to get read, but you need to tailor it to your conversation or something about you and that person.
I would say that some parts of it could be the same, like where you're highlighting yourself or something, but it's like, Tiffany, thank you so much for setting this meeting for me. It was a pleasure meeting you the other day. I really look forward to being able to meet with you or being able to work alongside you in the near future. Hey, Steve, during the interview, you asked me this question and I thought it was really profound and I've thought about it some more. But yes, don't copy paste.
Yeah.
Go. That's something that gets me. I'm like, because that's essentially like, especially if you're applying for like a sales position or something, like, oh, you're going to copy paste all of us. Well, then you're just going to copy paste all the potential clients as well. So no thought process, no effort put in. Yeah.
And it comes out, first person, it comes off authentic, right? Oh, look, what a nice message. And then when they find out you sent it to everybody else, they're like, how insincere was that? I mean, it totally backfires on you. So don't copy paste it.
So we got a question here from Keith in the private chat. I can't put it on the screen though. Can you ask Melanie if and how you would frame your social media on your resume?
Okay, so
I have 15,000 followers.
It's
on MySpace.
On MySpace, yes. It's important to frame your social media if and only if it applies to your job. So if you are a salesperson and social media is a big part of a marketing type of activities that you're doing or something like that, then it's good to highlight it. Other than that, I really don't recommend it. I really don't recommend it because anything on there is fair game. Now, I will tell you there's lots of debate in the HR community about should you look at social media for a person or not. And the debate against it is you're going to see things that are easy to discriminate against, right? Because people may not release certain data about them, but you may see it on the social media. You can get a discrimination charge, blah, blah, blah. And then the other side is it's a real live thing that's part of them and I want to know. And I can give you a good story on this one, David.
Oh, hit me.
I worked for a company that had an IT segment in their organization, and the IT director was hiring a position that was like an IT business analyst. And that person was going to be working with the different parts of the company. And before he made the offer, he was already, we were getting the paperwork together and everything. He went out and he checked her social media. And she had been on a show, which I don't even know if the show exists anymore, called Bridezillas. And it was this show that was for women that were getting married. And it was women that were like totally went over the top rude and were yelling at people and stuff like this. And he saw that she was on it and he watched it on her social media and then watched the whole episode. And so he came back to me and he's like, I decided I didn't want to make an offer to this person. And I'm like, why don't you want to make the offer? I thought you loved this person, thought they were great. And he said, because if she's willing to treat her family and friends and the vendors that she's dealing with this way on the show, how is she going to interface with all of our internal customers and clients? And so she did not get the job. So, I mean, and, social media, you think it doesn't make a difference? Holy cow. And there's a real live world example. So dual-edged sword about the social media. Now, I will say LinkedIn is different, right? Because LinkedIn is business social media. It's the yes, I know some people violate that, but as a rule, it's got a much more business than like Facebook does, or even Instagram, Pinterest, all of those. So it's okay to, we actually, on the HR survey we did, HR professionals did say they do want you to put a link to your LinkedIn profile on your resume now. So it's something that you do want to make sure you have and available. Please do know that anything out there can be seen by anybody then.
It's true. It's true. That's always, I would say this for anybody that's watching and still listening at this point. Do not put out I don't want to, how do I say this without being mean? Well, fuck it. Don't put out crybaby stories. Don't put, woe is me, oh, boo-hoo-hoo me, boo-hoo-hoo me. Yeah, maybe it'll get some likes and it'll get some people be like, hey, keep your chin up there. You can make it, like, be more positive in your approach, because I can tell you this, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm hiring somebody and they put out the boo-hoo-hoo story, that's like, they're looking for sympathy as opposed to creating results and change within their own ecosystem and stuff. So don't do that. Don't do that. As much as you're tempted to, don't put out the boo-hoo-hoo stories.
Job seeking is the hardest job you will ever have. You need a support network. You need people that you can have those boo-hoo moments with. I don't recommend you do it on LinkedIn publicly either. Give somebody a call, pick up the phone, talk with somebody you know. If you need help, get it, but it's not helping you take the right steps forward.
All right, so we're still getting questions here, so this show is doing phenomenal. All right, so Carlos asks, is it okay to add my consulting LLC website link to my resume?
Absolutely. And in fact, I would tell you, you want to add it to your LinkedIn profile and you want to create a company page. Company pages are free. And when you create a company page on LinkedIn, you get all these additional analytics that you don't get on regular LinkedIn on your profile. Now, the only time you would not want to put your LLC on your resume is if it's something competing with the job that you're trying to get, or if it's something that undermines your career path. So if it's something that's you think helps show your skills better or is down the same path as your career, yes, then absolutely. Now, the other part of that is, remember, all of these search parameters are going to work off your most recent job title. So if you do put that consulting work underneath your experience as the top thing, the system might pull that job title as opposed to the one that you want it to pull. So be careful that that's not, unless you want that to show as your most recent, be careful on that.
So Tom's getting some questions in here today. He says, isn't it better to have a customized resume for each job versus using your LinkedIn profile, which won't be customized for the job posting?
Tom, that's a great question, and I'm very glad you asked that. So when I told you to take your LinkedIn and upload it in, when you do that in the applicant tracking systems, it still gives you the opportunity to upload your resume. And so those are kind of different things. The data that you're uploading from your LinkedIn as opposed to uploading it from your resume, that's the data that's going to be used on the search parameters, right? But the resume is going to be the one that's going to be seen by the people. Now, there shouldn't be, even if you're customizing your resume, if you're adding things for jobs, you should be adding that to your LinkedIn profile. Remember, you don't have the same space limitations. So there shouldn't be really anything on your resume that's not on your profile, but you still will get that chance to put your resume up there in addition to the upload from LinkedIn.
So here's a good one from Leroy. Do you think graphical formats of a resume help with any particular companies or in particular scenarios? What are your thoughts on graphical resumes in general? Are they good to use as well?
So this is Microsoft has about 30 of them. I do not think you should use graphical resumes because they end up throwing those applicant tracking systems, they just drive them crazy. And when we did do our HR survey, that was one of the things that said, I don't want to see resumes that are not in a reverse chronological format. Now, I do want to do a couple caveats on this. One is if you have any kind of graphical thing, you absolutely positively need a portfolio. And you need a portfolio that's on some type of shared drive that you can attach that. Almost all of the applicant tracking systems nowadays have a way for you to do a portfolio attachment link. And then the other thing is there are times where doing something different or special with your resume can make a difference. And a great example of this is there is a brewery in Houston, St. Arnold's. They have great beer. Lawnmower's my favorite. But St. Arnold's Brewery here, if you go out to their webpage and you look at their team members, it even tells the stories on some of them, or it used to. It's been a while since I've been on the webpage, of how they applied. And so people, got their jobs there by taking their resume, shrinking it down, and making it like the label on the beer bottle. Right? And so if you have somebody that's got a really strong product or something else cool, then if you do something that sets you out of the box like that and can get the attention of the right person, it can do well. And David, that puzzle that you showed on LinkedIn that somebody did for you? It was very cool, right? Where it had, the component, and then underneath it had Gibson report. It's very cool. If you guys haven't seen it, go back and look through David's his posts on LinkedIn, and you'll find it.
I think Amanda Rico. She was the one that posted it.
Oh, okay. So look on
Rico and Jenny Wilson.
It's very cool. Very cool. So when you see things like that, if you're able to do something like that for a manufacturer of a certain component or a part, if you're a machinist, working with a giant mill, and you can take something about your resume and machine it on something, that's something that's cool and going to get somebody's attention. So things like that can work as a one-off, but you really need to know who you're applying for to get that to work.
I would highly recommend that in the scenarios where you would be applying for a job where creativity is if they're saying we're looking for a creative, out-of-the-box thinker, something like that, take that as that opportunity to think, okay, how can I be creative and out of the box and getting my information over to them? I enjoy doing that just as far as like Gibson Reports and getting our brand out there, obviously, but I think that's a great way also as far as being able to apply for a job, specifically if it's for something that's being creative. I also like that we were talking about as far as the digital portfolio. Mm-hmm. So that goes for not only design graphics artists, right? That's where, most people would do that, or photographers, something of that nature. But if you are an engineer and you've done things in Pro E, you've done things in SolidWorks, have a online portfolio of those things. If you've done 3D printing, right, you've got a skill set with that. Have pictures, have files of things that you've done. If you are a data analyst person that you built dashboards, right, have those dashboards, especially like Tableau Online or Tableau Public. You can put together, like, hey, here's my Tableau Public account, be able to go and look at some of the dashboards that I've built, which also makes for great content to be able to put onto LinkedIn. If you don't know how to use these dashboards and you're wanting to get it more into the data space, look them up, take part in them, learn how to use them, start putting some of that stuff out there, because these are all going to be little things that can help you to be able to build your portfolio and to be able to let people know what your skill sets are, and maybe even potentially challenge you to develop a new skill set. So I highly recommend those, because I may not be a job seeker, but I am seeking clients, and I'm trying to find people to be able to hire me to do things. And those are all the things that I do to be able to get people's attention and say, hey, go and check this thing out that I've already built. I could build something for you, right? They're hiring me, but not to be a permanent employee, maybe just for a project. So those two things translate directly one and over to each other. So, maybe some of that stuff that you build out, you might be able to end up getting contract work, maybe not a full-time job, but you could get a contract work just based off of some of the information that you are putting out there. So highly, highly recommend those. Anything that is in a digital sense, have that portfolio ready to go. And if it's multiple different things, so you've got a YouTube channel that's pertinent to the industry, you've been interviewing people, you did a Vidor Locksmith show, put that there, right? You've got your Tableau Public stuff, put that there. Have all of those different things organized and ready to go so that if they want to find out more about you, you control that avenue of where they go. You don't want them to go, oh, we want to find out more about this person. Let's go look at their Instagram. Let's go look at their Facebook. Let's go look at their bridezilla.com LLC, right? Try to control how, if and when people are going to find out more about you, that you're the one that's providing it for them. And then hopefully they run out of, like, you know, Melanie was saying, they hit that recruiter fatigue on the content that you wanted them to see versus the content you didn't want them to see. It's very important things there.
I even, there's this digital versus hard copy, right? And so you need the digital, absolutely. I do recommend you either have also a hard copy of the data with you when you go on an interview, or an iPad or something that you can pull it up. And I'll give you another story. So my husband is actually a professional engineer. He's owns an engineering firm, and he had a person come in for one of the engineer roles, and the resume looked okay, but he was like, okay, well, I'll talk with this person. And the interview was going okay, but then the person said, you know what, the question you just asked me, I'd love to show you something that I did, and pulled out this portfolio that had some parts that she had designed, and she was able to walk him through her design process and how she did it. And she got an offer because she had that portfolio. Now, I'm not saying you got to print out everything. I mean, iPads and so many other different tablets are great nowadays that you can pull it up that way too, if that works better for you, but have it accessible when you're doing an interview in case you need it.
It's like open the trench coat and it's just full of different things. So I built all of these and all of these. All right. Question, let me make sure I haven't missed any questions here. I think we got here. Let's see. Often agencies. So I often get messages on LinkedIn from agencies that claim they have a great job that they want to talk to me about. I send my CV and I hear nothing. They don't return calls or messages from me, so they are just after my CV. Why do they do this? As there is no way I could deal with the company like that. No way I would deal with a company like that. Go for it.
Okay, so
scammers.
Yeah, here's what I would say. First of all, people that are saying, oh, they're just trying to get my CV. What are they doing with your CV? Nobody's getting your CV to do anything with it. CVs, you can access millions of CVs online. So don't worry that they're trying to get my CV. It's really not as big of a concern, especially when everybody's got all this data out there on LinkedIn, right? You're not hopefully putting anything like your social security, your driver's license, any data like that. You don't even have to put your street address anymore on your resume, right? So I don't think that's the concern. The issue right now is, as overwhelmed as you are in the job seeking process, HR companies and recruiters are just as overwhelmed. And man, when I tell you that I put a posting out there and I get from that one posting, I'll get hundreds of people replying. What you're not seeing is all the people who are very good and track me down. I've had people, call me on my cell phone. I've had people track down my home phone and call me on my home phone. They will get any email that is out there. Like I do a lot with other organizations. I'm on a board of one. And so any other way that they can get to you, they are doing it and they're trying to. And I know in my heart that it's hard to be a job seeker, right? And they're trying to stand out. But what happens is you have overwhelmed those recruiters and companies. You have completely overwhelmed them. And it's just a fight to get out of everything that we need to get out. Do I and my team try to follow up with every candidate? We do. A lot of times we are just as dependent as you are on trying to get updates from companies who give us jobs to work on and then go dark. And we don't hear from for a month and a half, 2 months. And then they're like, I need to hire somebody now. We're like, well, you haven't given us feedback on the 12 people we've already sent you. So the system in general is completely overwhelmed at the best of times. And right now it's like broken. So what I would say is, I know you said I would never work for a company like that. Don't make a judgment on that company when it might be behaviors of a person. Your job is to find a job, right? And don't let one person stop you from finding that great job. Use them as you need to use them. Do what you need to do. And then if you choose never to use them as a vendor, that's your choice when you have the power, right? but don't let that be bad behavior or one person's being overwhelmed not pull you down the right direction.
So let me ask you this. I had this happen to me. I was looking for some part-time help. I got inundated with a ton of resumes, and the resumes were coming in faster than I could review them and do my day-to-day job. And then I ended up getting one of the candidates that had submitted a resume to me and said, why haven't you responded to my resume yet? And I was like, look, I just haven't gotten to it. And like the subsequent email was just like completely berating me for just a bunch of BS. And it was just like, I'm busy. This is the reason why I'm hiring somebody. What is your take on, like, I know there should be a certain level of professionalism for the hiring organization to be able to get back to candidates and say, we've received it, we reviewed it, we've rejected you, right? And rejection's a harsh word, but that's essentially the word that fits what's taking place. Or we've decided to go a different direction, whatever. Or sorry, we were just better off friends. However people like to be able to say it. And then what should be the follow-up pattern for the job seekers, to where you want to be able to kind of push the envelope a little bit, I guess. So you want to take the initiative, but where do you draw the line? Like, I mean, I know when I worked at a directional company, we would have guys that just like, they would just walk in the door and just walk into the first office they could, and then start saying, hey man, hire me, I do this. And I'm like in the middle of doing something, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm on the phone right now. Who are you? Like, hire me. I'm like, you're gonna have to go talk to the front desk. It's like, so where do you draw? What do you say as far as the hiring companies? What should they be doing, and then what should the job seeker be doing?
So here's the systems do not accurately support the hiring process yet. So we talk about all these applicant tracking systems. How do the candidates get into those applicant tracking systems? Well, if the people applied on a job posting, most times they get put in. But all these people that send emails, apply through other different systems, drop off resumes, I mean, all the other ways, that is huge man hours trying to get all those people even loaded into the applicant tracking system. I mean, it's crazy amounts of hours that the agencies and the companies cannot keep up with. So the software on that side does need to get better. So you could just, scan in a resume, and there are some, but they're terrible. And it would actually do a good job of getting that information in there.
So I will say to this, we put a job out there at one of the previous companies I was at, and people would start hitting me up on LinkedIn, DM, like sending me text messages and all this. And I kept telling them, apply online. That's the best place, because that's where that's like, if it wasn't there, you weren't categorized. So there's a lot in being said. If they ask you a certain way to be able to do it, do that. It doesn't mean that, taking the initiative doesn't work or whatever. But for us, at that point in time, with the number of resumes we were getting in, if you didn't do it the way we told you to do it, because then an email went to me, the president, and the hiring manager. It was like the three of us that got it. If you didn't do that, you sent me like, hey, here's a DM with my resume. I was just like, this is like, that's too much work for me to be able to push everything over. So that definitely didn't happen. So just a quick story. Go ahead, Melanie.
It's true though, right? I mean, it's absolutely true, because otherwise, how do you have all the man hours to do that? And remember how, if you're talking about the external recruiters, a lot of them are contingent recruiters. And so they get nothing unless they actually place you in a position and you stay for past the guarantee period. They get zero. They may have spent a bunch of money and get nothing back. And so it drives bad behaviors. It drives them to focus on what's most important. But so they are crazy, overwhelmed and cannot do it. So then now imagine you have, I have 10 positions open and I've gotten 1,000 candidates for each one of those positions. Now imagine all of those people also follow up with me every other day. I mean, I tell people, I try to get through my LinkedIn. There's no way I can reply to all the LinkedIn messages I have. There is absolutely no way. And I have them coming in 24/7 internationally because of our job seeker stuff. So we try to say, go to the, videos, put a comment so the whole team can reply and not just me. But so, okay, that is definitely broken. We need to figure out how to make that system better. I know it. Everybody in HR hates it and wants it better. But now take the person who followed up for you inappropriately. One, that is an incredibly dangerous thing to do because almost every system, almost every applicant tracking system, matter of fact, I can't think of one that doesn't have it, has a way to mark you in their system as do not contact or do not, reach out to again. It's kind of like getting blackballed. It's like getting blocked on LinkedIn, right? Because you would not believe the inappropriate behaviors of people saying things or going after, people who are just trying to get their jobs done. And, I don't care. You don't be disrespectful. That is the quickest way to get that little thing. And then you can apply to that company till the dogs come home. And you are never going to get considered by that company because the system's automatically going to hide you every time. So I do not recommend doing that. And the second thing is it's a small world. And again, if one person does something bad, address that one person. Don't do something that's going to address against the whole company that you may love and want to work for. If you're discriminated against in the hiring process, if you're treated inappropriately, you go to HR, you go to the EEOC, and you do report it, right? The system doesn't change if we don't help it. But don't take that ugly route. What are you going to get from it? What are they going to say then? Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. Let me hire you for that part-time role. Get it out of your mind. Don't focus on it.
I saw on LinkedIn the other day that somebody posted expletive, Amazon, rejected me. Good luck, or screw you, something to that nature. And then if I ever get a resume from somebody that ever worked at Amazon, it's going directly in the trash. And I was like,
ridiculous.
What? It was that's
so that's showing, we were talking about Keith, how brilliantly Keith has shown his competencies throughout this process. And there's somebody that showed their competencies. And you can bet any employer that sees that's going to be like, hands off. I do not want that person as part of my team.
Yeah.
People
hire
things
that it's still out there on LinkedIn. I can go find it right now. I'll probably send it to you after we get done. But I was just I saw that and I was just like, do you not understand how this thing works? It's like the old ladies in that Facebook or the insurance commercial. That's not how it works. I posted something on your wall. It's like, no, that's not how it works. No, this is not how things work. All right, y'all, we could obviously go on forever with this. We're obviously going to have Melanie come back. Next one, we'll get Melanie and we'll get the resume doctor, Dr. Amanda Rico, to be able to come on. We'll get both of them to come on at the same time. Maybe we'll do the hiring fit thing like what we did with Amanda before. We have companies come on and pitch themselves because it is a two-way street, right, for hiring. Remember that. It's a two-way street. That you need to be able to show them that you've got the goods to be able to come on to them, and then they need to be able to show you that they're going to treat you right and do all the things that you need so you can both go forward. It's very, very important, right? Stand up for yourself. Don't just accept any job offer. So we'll have the companies come on, give their pitch. We'll have some of the people come on and give their elevator pitch about who they are. I don't know when exactly we'll do it. We could probably do something. I don't know. I've already got a whole bunch of stuff booked up. Maybe late April, early May or something. We'll do that one Friday. Hopefully the industry's just blowing and going, and then we're like, hey, we need people to come on, and nobody's able to come on, and then it's just a whole bunch of hiring companies are like, we're begging for people. So that's what we'll be hoping for. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to be able to put out there. You guys, be sure, check this out. What day is this? April 6th, the virtual industry panel event, Pivot or Patience. This is brought to you by the SPE International Gulf Coast section. I'll be putting on my little, I'm gonna do like a LinkedIn crash course, my thoughts and stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. If it's not, whatever, I don't care. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to connect with Melanie on LinkedIn and subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's tons and tons of great content there. Anybody that messages me and says, hey, I need help finding a job, I just tell them flat out, follow Amanda Rico and follow Melanie Woods and watch all of their content, and that'll get you up to speed, because that's what you need to do, right? Connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't done so. Yes, Melanie. What?
Don't forget to tell them, aren't you doing an in-person speaking at a meeting coming up? That's right around the corner, and people can meet you in person.
April 27th.
Stay tuned on David's.
Hold on.
I think I'll be there too. If you want to meet me and David in person and you're in the Houston area, we will be at an event together.
April 22nd for the Oilfield Connections International. It will be at, I think it's up in the Kingwood area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Kingwood chapter of OCI. Thursday, April 22nd, I will be doing a live in-person speaking engagement. I'll do like a quick little presentation, and the rest of it might be just Q&A. You want to ask me about data stuff. You want to ask me about the market, entrepreneurial stuff, B2B marketing, live streaming, whatever. I'm completely open book to all of that. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned to that. I think those are all the things that I've got coming up. I know I've got a couple of speaking engagements between now and then, but I can hardly keep track of all of them. Thank you all so much for watching, being a part of this. Please share, like, subscribe, do all of the things if you enjoyed it. If you were enjoying this, please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to keep bringing you this stuff. We're going to keep making the show better. We've got next week, lined up for next week is Marco Perez, who is the Global Drilling Engineering Manager for Weatherford. He's going to be coming on. The week after that is Chris Montan he's a drilling engineer who's got his own drilling engineering service. So he's going to come on. After that, we've got Julian Stahl with the guys at Rogi Geosteering. Then Todd Broker. I'm starting to get everything lined up and it's all starting to come together. There we go. So guys, thanks everybody out there for watching this. We really do appreciate it. We got Tom saying thanks. Tom, thanks for asking all the questions. Doug, and then LinkedIn user. We love you, LinkedIn user. You're the best. LinkedIn user is the best because there's always a LinkedIn user watching. So we appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Let me find the button for the little outro. Where did it go? And as always, know your industry.